Okay, I want to thank everybody again for being on here today. Again, this is Charlie Castro. Justin Harrison is going to be sharing with us some information about not just the Birmingham market, but a way that you can now take advantage of the real estate market in a very, very unique way. This is really the first group that I've seen do something like this, in my opinion. The Buy Direct model is sort of the future for the individual investors as they look to get into the housing market, but want to make sure they get in at numbers that make good sense for them. And so Justin's going to be sharing that with us, as well as some information about his company and himself and some of his background. We'll be doing that in a few minutes. I'm just going to start out just by talking a little bit about the current state of the real estate market. Just some statistics. Just pulled this off Case Shiller about 2 weeks ago. These are some of the markets and the one-year price gains in these respective markets. Phoenix up 22.4, San Francisco 22.2, Vegas up 20.6. The Atlanta market is up 19.1, Detroit 18.6, and then the Birmingham market, which is the market that Justin's been in, is up 17.1. That's from 2012 to 2013. I always put this up here. LA Orange County prices are up 16. I live in Orange County, California. I read this just actually in the LA Times about 2 weeks ago, Sunday Times 2 weeks ago, said that the Orange County market, the market that I'm in, is currently the #1 most overrated market in the entire nation. And that sort of frames why people ask me all the time, Charlie, you're in California, why are you not doing buys and flips, or why are you not buying investment real estate in California? The answer is real simple. There's no yield here. Forget the fact that the cap rate in terms of what you can buy a home for and what you can get in terms of a monthly cash flow from it is extremely low. But the other problem is, if you're in the most overpriced market in the country, you're not going to see appreciation. So the idea was always to be able to focus in markets that allowed for appreciation, markets that we knew were going to go up in values, not lay flat in values. Those are the markets that you want to invest in. The institutional investors, we're going to talk about that. Where do they invest in? They invest in places like Birmingham. Why do they do that? Because they get a better yield. They have a better opportunity for appreciation. This particular article, written by veteran Southern California real estate market, G.U. Kruger, made the comment, yes, the home prices are up double-digit rates. Big deal. They're still way below the previous peak. And that's sort of what we still see in this market. Prices are going up, absolutely true, but there's still great value out there. And what Justin's going to be talking about today is going to be talking about how you can actually buy this inventory direct, which is going to save you thousands of dollars. Just some more Case Shiller information, which we tend to follow these indexes, just talking about third quarter prices up 3.6% from a year ago. The National Association of Realtors is something that I follow fairly frequently. Talks about that existing home sales jumped more than 9% in 2012, which is the largest increase in 5 years. And interestingly, home inventory levels hit a 5-year low in December 2012. Now, there's a reason for that. Inventory levels are still down lower now. It's harder now to get inventory than it was even 6 months ago. And I'll talk about why that is here in a few slides. But the reality of it is there has to be another methodology to gain access to the market if you're really going to get and experience the best rates of return. And again, that's what Justin's going to be talking about today, and why I'm excited to hear what he's got to show you all. Again, National Association of Realtors, 84% agents believe that real estate values and number of transactions will increase in 2013. 77% say that new construction will continue to go up. And this is really fascinating to me. 74% believe that in their local economy we'll see an improvement in 2013 compared to 2012. And I say that's interesting to me because I think we all are very well aware of what's gone on in this country and really globally the last 5 years with regards to fiscal cliffs and devaluation of the dollar and credit ratings being lowered and all these sorts of things, and fear and the doom and the gloom of the economy. So when realtors are saying that they believe by 74% that their local economy is going to improve, that's pretty powerful stuff. And then no market is expected to see a decline in home values and real estate transactions in 2012. Contrast that by 1/3 of the market in 2012. What does that really sort of say? It just sort of says this is a really good time to buy real estate. Most of the institutional people tell you that as well. This is my next slide. We've learned to deal with the institutional investors. For those of you that don't know this, we believe this really started 15, 16 months ago when Warren Buffett was interviewed on CNBC and said that, they asked him about buying single-family homes. And he said, well, that's a great investment. He said, I'd buy millions of them if it were practical, but I'm not very handy. What he was sort of saying was, yeah, if you can buy single-family homes at the right prices, that's a great way to invest your money. However, make sure that you've got some way to handle it in terms of managing it and fixing it up. And that's, of course, what a specialized REO group like Justin Harrison does. But these equity funds, the hedge funds, real estate investment trusts, that's what these folks are in the market for. They see an opportunity to take advantage of a market that's been beaten up a little bit. You can get good values. Interestingly, hedge funds, again, why we're here on this call today, hedge funds look at what we buy these homes for, and they say, well, we'll offer full value. We'll offer full price for that, or we'll offer even over asking price. And we say, well, why do that? We've been, as a smaller specialized group, we've been used to now for the last 5 years buying, under what the asking price of the homes are. But their answer is real simple. Well, the fact of the matter is that these homes have great value. They're still undervalued with regards to what they really are worth. So why not pay what the seller's asking for? And again, by buying direct makes a lot of sense. But hedge funds, they're in this business for the same reason you should be in this business. If you're wondering why that you've seen $9 billion, that's right, $9 billion of the fee is what hedge funds have committed to buying single-family homes this year. And why is that? It's really the same reason you should be considering real estate for your portfolio. The fact of the matter is, real estate cash flows, you're buying it at a great price, there's going to be appreciation. All the indexes that you read will point to the fact that you're going to see an appreciation in the real estate market in the years ahead. There's tax benefits there. I'm not a financial consultant, but talk to your financial advisor about that. There could be some benefits from a tax perspective for you. And of course, you're going to see that investment see a return. And that's the reason why hedge funds are here. They believe that real estate is essentially a commodity, a cash flowing commodity that's going to see appreciation, and it's going to be less subjected to the whims of the market. Yes, the stock market's doing great right now, but I think everyone knows that you can wake up tomorrow morning, your stock portfolio can be beat to death. We've seen that happen repeatedly. You don't see that typically in the real estate market. So, the question that we have to ask ourselves is, as people that are in this space, though, is what does this mean? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing that hedge funds are in this market today? And what we've really come to learn is that it's really a good thing. I pulled this article off the internet months ago, probably February, March of this past year, and it cited 5 reasons why you should hug a hedge fund buyer today. I pulled off 3 of them. I think these are the most relevant to, the smaller investor. Hedge funds are driving up prices. That's absolutely true. The fact is they're in the market. They are buying real estate at record numbers for all the good reasons that most of us are aware of. But they're driving up prices. They're buying undesirable homes. And what that really means is they're just buying homes off bulk lists and tapes, something that we don't do. Justin will talk about that when we get to his portion of the slideshow. But they will buy off those tapes. Now, if you don't know what a bulk list or tape is, it just means you're buying a list of properties from a bank, and within that list, you'll have some great values, you'll have some so-so values, and you'll have some homes that will be undesirable to a buyer like we are, or you would be. But they'll buy those homes. But that's a good thing for the market, because what it does is it's raising the value of the entire neighborhood. If you have homes that have been empty for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they're in this state of disrepair, it drags the value of the entire neighborhood down. So those funds buying those assets is good for our industry. And then finally, and maybe more importantly, hedge funds provide an aftermarket for sellers that want to exit. Regardless of what your strategy is, everyone's different. We always try to learn what an individual strategy is before we suggest a piece of property. But whether you're in it for the long term or you're in it for the short term, whatever that strategy is, you at some point in time you want to exit. You want to get out. You want to sell your property. You want to be able to liquidate your asset and experience a rate of return on that. The fact that there's hedge funds in the market, it just provides additional buying power out there. And so it's a good thing for them to be in this space. And you buy a home, and let's say in 2 years you decide I need to get out. We've had an event in our family. I need money for my kids' college. I lost my job. Those sorts of things happen. That's just, life happens. And so having an asset, a real estate asset in a market, knowing that you've got buyers with the thirst that these groups have, adds a layer of comfort to that investment. I pulled this slide off of CNBC a year and a half ago, and I like this slide a lot because it's quite interesting. Some of the things that it said almost proved to be prophetic. It says, while home prices haven't hit bottom nationally, demand is starting to grow. Interestingly, we can tell you now with some certainty that the prices haven't hit bottom nationally. The prices are now going back up. If you look at any statistic in the real estate industry throughout the history of this country, or at least let's say since World War II, you'll see that it's very, very consistent. When there's a crash, it climbs back up. Real estate cycles back up. It's done that throughout our history. We have hit bottom nationally. We are going back up. This is one of the best times probably to buy. Demand did grow. We certainly saw that in 2012 and here in 2013. It started to grow. by large-scale investors and hedge funds entering the marketplace, sucking up everything that they could buy. This thing goes in to say, especially for distressed properties at the low end of the market. And again, I want to stop there for a second. Just I want to frame that for a second. The lower end of the market is where your greater returns are. You can get great real estate. I mentioned earlier, I live in Orange County, California. The median price home here is $499,000. You can get some great values in Orange County right now. You can. Unfortunately, your yield or your cap rate, your rate of return on those is going to be maybe 5 or 6% because you're going to buy at $500,000, you're going to rent it for maybe $2,000. Where in a market like Birmingham, you can buy in the Birmingham market, you can buy at much lower numbers than that. Let's say $50,000 to $70,000, and in those markets, your rate of return, and Justin's going to give you some very good examples here in a few minutes, are going to be 10 to 15%. And so the reason that the hedge funds, as well as the smaller REO specialized groups, have been in those markets is because the rate of returns are just much better. And they've all focused in those markets, whether it be Atlanta or Las Vegas. They focus in the lower end of the market. And then, of course, it talks about large-scale investors getting in. When they were absolutely correct about that, they did get in. And then how does an individual investor without extra funds lying around get in? The answer is retirement funds. We do these webinars also at least twice, if not more, per month with third-party administrators like Active Plan and Entrust, Direct IRA. These are people that manage people's retirement accounts, 401ks, self-directed IRAs, in some cases they're LLCs. But what they do is they work with them to buy cash flowing real estate for their portfolio. And it's a great way to get in. If you got a 401k or a self-directed IRA and it's only making it 4 to 6% of your money, you might consider buying a piece of real estate, putting it within that structure of an LLC or self-directed IRA. And there's cash flow, so you're building your account via cash flow each and every month from the real estate. And of course, when you want to sell it, liquidate it, that cash goes back to your 401k and it assists you in building your retirement portfolio. Many of the sales that we do are through self-directed IRAs and 401ks. It is a great way to participate in the housing market. The other thing we just recently learned, and this just really started in the last 2 weeks, I did a webinar on Tuesday with a group of Chinese investors. And what's interesting about that is that typically the Chinese, we've always been the Chinese for in many parts of the real estate market in the United States, but it generally was not in single-family residence. It was generally commercial and hospitality. Now we're seeing them get in very heavily in the single-family residence. The group that we did our webinar with has got quite a thirst. We're just developing a relationship with them. I pulled this off. It's an article, I believe this was in New York Times, I believe. Yes, it is down at the bottom. If I can just read there at the bottom. New York Times, June 25th, so fairly recently. Steve Collins saying that there's just been some incredible wealth creation here, and they're just getting started. This is just now beginning to take off. And then, of course, there was a group, there's a Chinese foreign exchange group that invested $500 million into Blackstone, which is obviously a large Wall Street group, buying real estate, again, for the same reasons that you may consider buying investment real estate. I get some things about Birmingham real quick, and then I'm going to let Justin take it. Birmingham is a pretty dynamic market, ninth largest city in the country. Not a lot of people know that. I pulled this article off of the New York Times article, June 9th, just some weeks ago. Really interesting article. If anybody would like to have the transcript of it, I can send it to you. Very interesting article. Sort of talks about the downtown area. The Birmingham Barons, which is the minor league baseball team there, has moved their stadium into the downtown area. I'm sure Justin will be talking about that. That's the team, if you didn't recall, that's the team that Michael Jordan, a basketball player, played for a short period of time. But they moved that baseball stadium into downtown. It's created quite the nice spot there now with nightclubs, restaurants. There's even some Zagat-rated, highly rated restaurants downtown Birmingham. Talked about how Birmingham has evolved. Once upon a time, Birmingham was a steel town. Now Birmingham's more medical and finance, more white collar than blue collar. So the city itself is transformed. Justin's going to go into a lot more detail about Birmingham. I just pulled this off just recently, just talking about Metro Birmingham seeing a residential sales price increase of 2.8% in February. So we're already seeing prices go up. This little chart down here, this is sales prices, and this red line is inventory. So you can see, if Birmingham values peaked out in 2006, 2007, then it starts to gradually decline. You see inventory levels are extremely high during those period of years. You can see now, 2011, it took a dip, and now it's starting to climb back up. It was up 17%, 11 to 12. 2013, I'm not sure what it is for the year, probably 2 or 3%, 4% for the year so far in 2013. But you can see the inventory levels dropping, which is the reason, again, why the Buy Direct Birmingham model makes so much sense, because what Justin's going to outline for you at this moment is going to begin to outline for you how you can benefit in this market by buying direct. And so, Justin, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want to remind everybody that we are going to be taking questions at the conclusion of the webinar. If you look to the right of your screen, you've got a dashboard there. In that dashboard, it says questions. If you just push on that little button that says questions, we will be glad to answer your questions in that chat box at the conclusion of the webinar. So with that, Justin, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate having you. And I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to mute my phone out, and I'll turn it over to you, Justin.
Thanks, Charlie. Tough act to follow. I appreciate the opportunity to get to speak to everyone today. I'm a local real estate investor in Birmingham. We manage and own several real estate companies. We work with a lot of different business models. We're primarily in Birmingham, Alabama. I am originally from Jackson, Mississippi. I went to college at the University of Mississippi. I was an accounting major, have a master's in accounting, and was a CPA, worked for Arthur Andersen for a while, and before I started working in real estate, which has been primarily my first love, and also where I get a lot of my background from. My family, my mom was a builder, my dad was in the HVAC business, so it was just in my blood to go into to real estate. So over the last couple of years, since the downturn, 07, 08, started buying apartments and houses in 05, working with out-of-state investors during that time. And in 07, we started a company, Premier Equity Group, and right around the time when out-of-state investing became a phenomenon to invest in the Southeast, cash flow markets. And we've had the luxury of living in Birmingham, Alabama, and having a family business in Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to stay focused on Birmingham today. And primarily our new model, which everybody needs to stay focused on, is our Buy Direct model. We've done a lot of different things over the years, bought and sold houses traditionally like a normal vendor in all the different cash flow markets all across the country, all the hot spots that everybody knows about. And something's popping up there. Okay. But what we're focusing on is Buy Direct. The demand is great in Birmingham. We're getting all types of, this hedge fund activity is starting a trickle down from the Atlanta markets. We've had Australians and Chinese. We get contacted daily with some type of arrangement with somebody wanting to buy large portfolios. I feel like this Buy Direct model is about to throw some fuel on the fire for what we do personally. We've got a great business model in Premier Equity Group, where we put out a very good product. We always try to stay a cut above our competition with good neighborhoods, good renovations, good management. Buy Direct's going to throw a whole different dynamic to it because of the basis that we're going to be able to provide. The transparency of it is going to be something that investors are really going to enjoy. They're going to see exactly what we buy properties for, exactly what the renovations are, and exactly how we have our fee structure.
Hey,
so that's a little overview of who I am and where I live. I'm in Birmingham, and we are basically, what's come down to is I've become specialized in finding and setting up investment properties. I find the properties, we have our renovation teams, and we have our management teams. All three components we need to put out a good product for our investors. And we go to the next slide. Being in Birmingham has been a privilege, been a luxury. We're just in a great cash flow town, a vibrant town. We have a lot of jobs, helps with our rental market. We're in a publication, it seems all the time, with CNN Money here on this slide, 10th best overall real estate market, third fast growing real estate market. Just a great cash flow town. And our economic development, loft districts, entertainment districts. This picture on the right of this current slide is where they were building the new baseball field for the Barons. Very impressive ball field. There's a large brewery across the street where people can go across and have a beverage. This is a park that they've built downtown. And The more and more people that they attract to downtown with the lofts and the condos that they built, then the trickle down is other types of businesses, restaurants, bars, gyms, all the different businesses that can go along with sustaining that population into the downtown area, just all kind of going through the transform and revitalization of Birmingham. Birmingham popped up in the 20s and 30s through the steel, the 40s, through the steel industry. They call it the Magic City because so much steel activity was so active that they consider it was kind of magic how fast everything got built in that short amount of time. Just a little overview on what we've done in the past. And I think what we're about to do in the future is what's going to attract everybody's attention, which is Buy Direct Birmingham. Premier Equity Group has been one of the largest providers of single-family residential property in Birmingham. We've done several hundred properties. And over the years, it's led us to get into the areas that perform the best, which goes to the quality of house selection. Being in stable neighborhoods. We've been in the low-income areas. We've been in the middle-tier areas. Right now, we're probably in a middle-tier area where we feel like we've got an easier class of tenants. We've got an easier remodel. We've got houses that are in better conditions. We don't have to deal with the low-income area riffraff and different things you can have with vandalism. We've elevated our area to not experience diminishing returns that some areas can have. One of the great things about our setup, I've used a lot of different property management companies along the way. Finally said, guys, we're going to bring this in-house. So I have my own in-house property management. We're licensed and registered with the Real Estate Commission. I have a broker, associate broker. We just have everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed when it comes to management. We'll touch on that in a minute. That's your key component in any of this is property management. So one thing about me, my MO has been I stick around long after the sale. I'm with my investors. It means repeat business. It means their success. There's a lot of reasons I want to make sure that my investors are successful. This is the way I'm built. So I keep your management close to me, and I keep my investors close to me. They can call me anytime. And management handles our day-to-day stuff, but typically you're calling me if there's I'm getting a pop-up here that I'm going to try to get rid of.
Hey, Justin, I'll tell you how to do it. Click the last one. I forgot to say this. Oh, yeah, there you go. If you click that, it'll stop showing to you. There you go. Okay,
thanks a lot. Okay, so continued service is that's a key. What's going to happen after the close of a property? I'm going to navigate you. I'm going to be your advisor. I'm going to, we try to be a full-service operation from insurance to property taxes, to property management, to key repairs, to all of the things that we can be thrown at in an investment opportunity. I'm going to go to the next slide here. So really the way we got started was with Premier Equity Group. I had a large group of investors that came in and said, we want to buy a lot of property, and it just kind of started from there, this phenomenon, this demand. But over the years, I found that, a happy investor is one with a low basis and a better return. It just that equation works all day long. So we're going to show how we've done business for so long, and then how we're about to add this sweetener, which is Buy Direct Birmingham. And there's just a lot of offsets that make sense in today's environment with the way the market's moving to allow investors to reduce their basis and get greater returns. Just something that's been in my heart for a while, and something that I've been working on probably about a year and a half. We've done a lot of test cases and done a lot of buying direct, but we're really about to roll it out, and it may become our key and dominate the way we do business. So I'm real excited about what we're about to present. Just touching on some of the things that we've done with house selection. My investors over the years have come to us and elevated our game. Some of my high net worth guys are wanting better and better properties. They're wanting quality renovations, and I grow with my investors. We feed off each other. So we've bought better properties and gotten in better neighborhoods, and the success ratio is it just kind of takes care of itself. What we're going to find is in the past we've sold properties from anywhere from 50 to 70,000, and what we're going to try to do with Buy Direct is to cut out some of the costs associated along the way, whether it's acquisition costs or double closings or our carrying costs and all the different things that can go into buying a house and selling it. If we can get the investors in direct, you'll see that the transformation of basis is significant. So we're already, with our experience, we're dialed in with all of our local agents, our bank relationships and asset managers. I have 10 to 12 house finders constantly bringing deals to me. I don't have to go out into the marketplace and ask for deals. They know if they bring me the right deal, I'm going to buy it. We have such a demand, such a buying force that they just, I'm their first go-to guy. That's, I don't really have to put out advertisements or signs or anything like that. I'm actually a very low visual guy. I have very little signage in our community. Our rental market's so strong, I don't even put rent signs out. So it's, I'm a very low profile person, and just our word of mouth has kind of dictated that. If I needed to put out signs, I would. But, house selection, buying a good quality house, we can do great remodels and have a good house. I always go back to property management being the key. So, I want to put together, I want to select a good house. Part of what I provide to start with is the house selection. We have to start with a good box, a good house. And then the second piece would be doing a quality renovation. So we'll get into some of that going forward. So we're going to go to the next slide here. Purchasing in stable neighborhoods, I've touched on that a little bit. This is a picture of of one of the new high schools. It almost looks like a college campus. It's amazing the amount of money they're putting into our school. So in the neighborhood where we're buying 80% of our houses, that's a picture of the high school, which translates to attracting better teachers, which would hopefully translate to better education, and that just helps the economy overall. This is Huffman High School. They're building these mega high schools all throughout Birmingham, which is part of the process of the revitalization. Not only all the jazzy stuff downtown with the breweries and the loft districts and the entertainment districts and the condos and the ballparks and you're looking at doing a dome stadium, but you got to get into these infrastructure things of schools to really have something solid, I think, for my kids' future and for our investments and everything else that goes on for for trying to predict or project what the future is going to look like. So, we're just in a middle-tier neighborhood, some blue-collar neighborhoods, which makes it a lot easier to invest. We feel safer. We don't have a lot of bad areas in Birmingham to begin with, but I just feel comfortable having some pride of ownership and buying a nicer style property. Typically, our houses are built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Every so often, we'll get one in the 80s or 90s. In-house property management, the next slide. You don't really have anything without management. You can just stop right there. You can have a good house. You can do a great remodel, but you got to have somebody driving a ship day in and day out. And my management team is in my office. They sit next to me. My broker has the desk next to me. I hear everything that's going on. Typically, I allow them to handle the small stuff when there's an electrical issue or an air conditioner that goes out or we've got a sewer issue, something that's going to be a big-ticket item. That's where I step in, and I'm kind of watching the quotes and making sure our investors are protected. Our management team's licensed and registered with the Real Estate Commission. There's a lot of fly-by-night management companies out there, and I've seen some pretty disturbing situations when it comes to management. Our management company is completely dialed in. We have a software system that's highly rated in Appfolio. That's the software product we use. We have web-based statements, direct deposits for your rent. So you have an online portal to go to your activity. So you don't really have to print anything out. Everything's web-based these days. So with all our investors being out of state, it just only makes sense to have something that's web-based. It's not paperless, but it is more and more automated. So one of the things that just kind of happens is we have great houses, we have great management, we do good remodels. Therefore, it makes management a little easier. And then I always use the word proactive leasing. We're leasing our houses during the renovation phase. So, and then if our property becomes vacant, that's a priority for us over, new houses. That somebody's money's in that house, we're going to go attack that house first, and it's a priority. So I have kind of a priority level when it comes to leasing. I want our long-term investors or investors who are in year 1 or year 2, if they have turnover, that's the first house that needs to be on our mind. So that's just part of our MO and our mentality. So property management, I manage them. Our investors need to manage them. You have to manage your property manager, and I'm going to be there along the way to help with that. So they know pretty well where I like to be with management. I keep them lean. I like for them to get all of the management fees so they can be healthy and be happy. It's a tough business. So our setup is, our management team, they get all the management fees. It's just I think it's a healthy way to motivate them to do a good job. So we're going to go to the next slide here. All of the things we've been talking about translates to a good rental market. We've got a lot of jobs, a lot of medical, UAB, the medical center, the UAB college, and the hospital. Some people estimate that's 60,000 jobs for the Birmingham area. We also have an influx of the car industry. All of the car plants that were up north, and some of the, it's a lot of the foreign car plants are moving to the southeast. There's several in Mississippi, there's several in Alabama, and in Tennessee. So that's creating a lot of jobs. We have Mercedes, they build the SUV truck. It's right down the road. It's about 20 minutes going toward Tuscaloosa. I'm from Mississippi, so I usually don't touch on the Alabama Crimson Tide, but my wife's an Alabama graduate, so she loves the football here, so it's a pretty crazy environment around our state. But the medical field, the car industry, the banking industry, even though it's been in such turnover, we're still a large provider of the banking industry. We have some really good state banking laws. At one time, I think we were 4th or 5th behind Charlotte. Charlotte is a large banking town, and here we're right behind them. We've had some turnover and some different things. We have a lot of community banks. So those are some of the things. The nurses, I rent to a lot of nurses, but a great rental market affects our our cash flow and affects our vacancies, which we really don't have a lot of when we talk about vacancies, because we have a great product and they fill up so fast. I always have a waiting list. A lot of times we don't have a vacant list. The only times I have vacants is the house is not ready. If the house is ready, we have somebody ready to go in. Just to give you an idea, this next slide is a couple of exterior shots. This is to get a picture of the quality of the product that we're going to be going after with our Buy Direct model. That's a full brick on the right. Another large size, I believe that's a 4.2 on the left. Just good, solid houses. Our tenants keep them up good. It's been a good product mix for where we buy. I have this one corridor where we buy a lot of houses, and there's thousands of houses in the area, and we go through there. I'm picking up rental properties in what we most would consider a retail area. So I'm going in and probably picking up some of the smaller houses in what would most people consider a retail area. So I do a lot of retail right down the street from these very houses. So where I'm retailing houses to homeowners, I'm also mixing in our rental portfolio. So it just that home ownership, we're just not in a hardcore rental area. We're in a mix of retail and rental. These are a couple other shots of houses we've done. Just good solid boxes. These are a little more sizable. 4.2s with a basement. They yield about $850 to $900 rents. I like crisp and clean renovations. My tenants go into a clean house, really no matter how they lived before. they may look at this as a new opportunity. One, they know we mean business, that this is how I keep my houses and how I want them, so I expect them to keep them the same. And if they don't, I'm going to get rid of them. So some more good boxes to look at here, just good solid houses, good tight renovations. We try to put a little jazz to our color schemes and not just be kind of bland, but stay a little neutral, but try to do a little extra. You know, it doesn't really cost much money to use another shade or two of color. There's a couple interior shots. Our Buy Direct model is going to allow you to renovate your house. If you want linoleum, I'll put in linoleum. If you want tile, I'll put in a tile. Cost is cost. So, you know, some investors are going to want to keep the existing equipment that they have. Some investors are going to want to put all new. Buy Direct, when we get to it, you'll understand that you have a little flexibility. I have a kind of a standard I want to keep, but also you can have some flexibility on maybe your preference of how you want your house set up, because we will be setting up houses together. I'll present you a budget, and you can kind of say, well, I may want a new air conditioner. I want a new roof. Of course, if it needs a roof, we're going to do it anyways, but there are some judgment calls, and we'll kind of get into that. But there's really nothing we can't do to a house, interior or exterior. Our guys, we have dirt moving guys, bulldozers, tractors, you know, every different. We knock out walls, change layouts. We've remodeled probably 300 to 400 homes. I actually lost track probably a year or two ago. It's an occupational hazard, I guess, but a large number. And they know what I want, they know what I like, and we have a certain way, a certain quality that we like to do. I get all of my houses home inspected whether you want it or not. It helps you and it helps me, and it helps my contractors. It holds them accountable. I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, so I use the words transparency a lot. I use the word accountable a lot. I want to hold everyone accountable, my managers, my investors, myself, my contractors, my tenants. And then our Buy Direct model is the ultimate in transparency, which we'll touch on in just a minute. We're almost there, so bear with me. Some other interior renovations. We can jazz these houses up as nice as anyone likes. Try to use a little variation of color schemes. I don't buy the little cheapo fans. I want to put a good fan in. Some of this stuff doesn't cost a whole lot. So use a little nicer fixture, a little nicer color tile, a little nicer fan. You're talking $500 to $600 adding to your rehab budget. So it pays to do that little bit extra jazz, because your tenant's going to walk into a house with that little bit more of, these guys, they're a professional company. They have a good product. So at the end of the day, we want to have a good product. So again, we can pretty much do anything when it comes to renovation. All right, here's the reason we're talking today. Buy Direct Birmingham. It's a new model. It's a new company. Buy Direct Birmingham LLC is a company that we're unveiling. We have Premier Equity Group, which is our flagship company. Basically, on average, if we buy direct and we can cut out the double closings, the insurance, acquisition costs, cost of money, back-end commissions, carrying costs, we'll save $10,000, sometimes $15,000 over what I used to sell properties for and what you may be currently experiencing when you research what sales prices are today. We're going to undercut the competition not only in our market, but probably a lot of markets. I just feel strongly that this is going to be, it's going to be hard to touch because of the discounts. We're buying direct. If I steal a house from an auction or a foreclosure or one of my house finders, the investor is going to reap the benefits of that because we have a set fee, and we'll touch on that. So our profits are capped, so we make a set amount. So if we get one for, normally we pick it up for 28. If we just happen to stumble upon a deal at 22, you get that basis reduction because our fees are set. So on average, we're saving at least $10,000. So this is a little bit of more of an advertisement model that kind of shows some numbers and some different things about Birmingham, some contact information, and the introduction to our new model. So So here it is. We can focus on this slide. You probably want to spend a little time reading through it. It basically kind of gives you more of a paragraph approach of what we have. So, I'll be setting some of our investors up with my local agent, and you'll start seeing MLS listings just like I would. So you're buying direct, and I'm going out there. My job is when you see something that looks attractive, I'm going out there to make sure it's something we should buy. Usually I'm pre-screening at the same time, and I'm like, hey, John, we got to jump on this now. We got to bid today because this is a hot deal. It's going to be gone tomorrow. This is the deal we've been waiting on. This is that buy direct opportunity. So we're going to go in and present, the house. I'll show some different things here where typically we've been selling houses for 55 to 65, as high as 70,000. We're going to start, with the buy direct model. I'll show some of the numbers in a minute, but I've had them be anywhere from 38 to 48. So just some significant savings depending on where we are. It allows us to compete a little better against these hedge funds, and what's happened, the Atlanta hedge funds has kind of taken over Atlanta. So I'm getting a ton of Atlanta investors buying up Birmingham. So this model also allows us to compete a little more, bid a little more, because we have more room. We're lean. So that's one of the things that we're, all of the different things, we're trying to be lean, we're trying to be transparent, and we're trying to lower basis. If we lower basis, you're going to have a better return. So that's a little bit of the overview of the general idea of what buying direct is going to do. You're going to know exactly what your purchase price is. I'm going to present you with a rehab budget, and then we're going to have our fee that turns into a, hold on one second, sorry about that. That turns into our overall reduction in basis. Give me just one second. Okay, let me get to the next slide here. All right, some of the ins and outs of Buy Direct that we want to just touch on. We really wanted to do a high-level overview today. Our typical renovation period when you buy a house is going to be 3 to 4 weeks. We're going to probably lease that house during the renovation period. We want to have a move-in within 90 days, sometimes sooner. I've had them move in, as soon as I'm done with the renovation, we've had a move-in. I can set up your LLC if that's what you want to do. We can bid in your name. So purchasing direct in your name or entity. We still have the turnkey concepts of what you're seeing or what I've done in the past with Premier Equity Group. It's still the turnkey model, but it's buy direct. So just to give you some of the fees associated with that property management is we manage at 9%. They always want 10%. Somebody walks in the door, it'd be 10%. I try to beat the curve in just about everything I do, so I want 9% for my investors instead of 10. Their leasing fee is $400. Well, I said I want $300, so I'm always trying to get us a little bit of an edge. So we handle the renovations to completion. And whether you want a home inspection or not, we're getting one. That protects everybody. And that, I can't get under every single roof, under every single house and in every single attic. So I have my inspectors and my crews do that. I look at the inspection reports. We go over them together. We have a detailed itemized budget that outlines all the costs, painting interior, painting exterior, flooring, HVAC, all of the different things that we can have in the renovation phase. Okay. Providing a detailed before and after photos. I use Dropbox for our pictures and photos. I give you before pictures. I give you an itemized budget. I like to have a very transparent picture. I give you, we're purchasing it for 22. Your rehab's going to be 10, and what our fee is going to be. So. Again, many houses are leased during the renovation period. We have a waiting list for our newly rehabbed properties. We feel that our vendor pricing, our competitors that are out there that are providing the turnkey product, we're beating them by at least $10,000, and many times it's a greater number. So So we're eliminating the double closing costs. We're eliminating the acquisition cost, any type of funding that we would need. You have a lot of crazy buying fees these days, additional holding costs. So buying direct will create a significant reduction in basis to the end user. So that's really the name of the game. If we can get a lower basis, you're going to get a greater return. All right, here's the first example of what we've done in the past. This is just a nice rancher 3-2 property that rents for $800. This will give you a little bit of the dynamics of just some of the takeouts that you'll have for Birmingham property. This property sold for $56,000. 3-2 rents for $800. You have 9% property management. Get over here with the cursor. On average, I feel like the insurance runs about $600. Property taxes can be anywhere from $900 to $1,100 to get to our operating income. And I basically take that and divide it by the sales price to get to a cash-on-cash return of 12.86. So we have a pretty healthy return for a newly renovated property for $56,000. Many people can't do an investment or a down payment for $56,000. Most all my clients are on the West Coast, from San Diego to San Francisco, and they're like, how can I pick up a house for $56,000? I'm like, that's just the price of our houses. We're just in a lower valued area. It's we just have one of those luxuries where people can come in and buy these with cash. So it's that's why the phenomenon's been here. That's why the investors have flocked to our market. All right, here's where we set up the house a little differently. So this is an example of where purchase price is $28,000, our rehab was $11,000, our direct buy fee is $9,000. So our total investment was $48,000. So typically we would have sold that house for $56,000. Well, through buying direct and cutting out cost, we were able to save $8,000 in basis. So every time we can save basis, that's more money that you don't have out of pocket, which ultimately increases this buy direct cash-on-cash return. So, you know, with saving that $8,000, we increased our cash-on-cash return by, I believe it was 2.5%, 3% on average. So we're at a healthy 15%. We have some unforeseen costs along the way. You know, it leaves us room for issues, but we try to minimize those through the home inspection. But we get thrown some issues here and there. But we have such a good basis that we can absorb some issues along the way. But we really try to stay positive and try to head anything off of the path. Let's just go on to another example. This was a really good buy. Another house, a full brick rancher, another $800 rent, $25,000 purchase, $8,000 rehab, $9,000 is our tap fee. That covers our office, our profit, our marketing, all of the things that we do is covered in that fee. And whether or not we steal a house, it gets passed to the investor. So we're capped at what we make. So, we're looking at bringing this buy direct model to a volume standpoint where we can take care of all of our staff and all of our members and all of our partners and put out a good product and get our investors in a low basis. So, I mean, typically I'd have sold this house for $56,000. There was probably a time where this would have gone for $60,000. So right now that's $14,000 if you buy direct. If I sell this house right now, I'm probably going to want $56,000. If you come in with your funds and buy direct, we're going to end up with a basis of $42,000. So, if you look at the numbers on the right, 800 rent, the same takeouts, roughly, $1,000 property taxes, 600 in rent, property management. We're up into rarefied air at 17%. That's pretty attractive. If you factor in the after-tax component there, heck, you're really getting to a 20% return. Yeah, you have some different takeouts, but with the getting back to some tax stuff and some CPA talk, with the tax benefits that we get from being real estate investors and holding property really makes this stuff handsome. That's where we make a lot of our money, is beating Uncle Sam. So where this be, it's on the face, just a quick rough estimate of a cash-on-cash return of 17. When you start factoring in taxes and the savings you get for write-offs, you can get into the, you can get into the 20s and 25% range. It's pretty handsome the way we can beat Uncle Sam with. We make profits, and our holds bring our profits down to where our projected tax basis is. We just don't pay a lot of tax because we have holdings, and that's it's really the power of what we do is in the tax game. So probably some of my CPA mind talking. So this is a great example of the quality of the product we're buying. Good brick house, good neighborhood. Tenant keeps the yard really nice. Good solid 800 rent, and an unbelievable basis. Just a basis that I don't know anybody that's going to put that out at that basis. I haven't seen it. I've been to Indianapolis, Kansas City, Memphis, Jackson, Atlanta. They're not going out the door at $42,000. If they are, they're not in this type of area. So this is a middle tier area. Yeah, I have $42,000 houses that I've sold, even $38,000 houses. I may have bought them for $6,500, and the house next door looks pretty rough. So this is just not that type of area. You saw the school that was in this area, so it's just an upper tier area it's got retails all in and around it. So that's really where I decided to move to, probably back in 2011, is to get into a good solid area. It's a lot safer for me. It's a lot safer for the tenant. It's a lot safer for the investor. We've got one last example here. We're getting towards the end here, but I want people to understand the difference between this vendor sales price and what we can achieve with Buy Direct by capping our profits and being transparent, and you know what you bought it for, you know what the rehab is, and you know what our fee is. And ultimately, I mean, that basis makes everyone, get excited. It's just it's attractive. There's just no other way about it. Everybody I've presented it to, they kind of question me, why are you getting it out the door this cheap? I'm like, well, we want to do volume, and I want investors with a healthy basis. It gives you exits. It gives you opportunities to do different things. You may can sell it to another investor. You're probably going to be happy with where you are and want to ride it out and keep these things lean on cash purchases. So we have a lot of IRA purchases, a lot of just straight cash. Don't do a lot of financing because our bases are so low. So we can get into all different types of transactions. But another good solid example, solid property with, with a great cash-on-cash return. I've seen cash-on-cash returns in the 20s and 25s on some of the cheaper stuff, but that stuff diminishes in the lower priced areas. They just do. The second someone moves out, they're taking your air conditioner and your copper a lot of times. So that just doesn't happen where I'm buying. I mean, every so often it does, but rare. I just, we're not in an area that the second the moving truck's leaving, the copper thieves are moving in. We just don't deal with that. I don't want to be in that environment. I've graduated from that, so to speak. This property is a little unique. It was a property that we bought with the Buy Direct concept. We ended up feeling so good about the property, and we jazzed it up a little nicer, and we got a retail sale for $89,900. Just to go through some of the numbers, I think our basis was around 47, 46. So the Buy Direct model put us in somewhere between 53,000. So if you were to hold the property, I would have normally sold this house for 67.5. So it's a Buy Direct savings of 14,500. That is a quality house. That's a retail house. It's a 3-2 with a finished basement and a garage. I have $850 for the rent just on this example approach, which gives us a 14.39 return. But we ended up selling the house. Probably could have rented it for $900 and gotten that cash flow number up a little more. But So we have some flexibilities in this model because our basis is so low. I may say midstream, hey, we may want to think about retail in this house. I'm getting some traction there. So, you know, we can turn it into a joint venture there. We do some 50-50 split. So ideally, we want to be buy and hold. We're buy and hold, buy and hold. We don't want to sell. We have some other opportunities that could be discussed in future webinars for retail. But buying direct and holding for the long haul is what we want to do. And we want to have the lowest basis possible. So that's the basis of what we're talking about today is a low basis. And it's getting me pretty close to the end of our presentation. I got just a few more things to touch on to close. Get my final notes here. So we have a solid product. I think we can see that through our pictures, and I have a lot of Dropbox examples that I shared to investors. The quality of our renovations, the lower basis that we're providing, it's hard to find. It's hard to compete against. I like the transparency. I'm big on that. You know what your price is. You know what your rehab is. You know, I give you a line-by-line item approach of what we're spending on the house. You know what we're making. It's just a simple approach, and it allows you to have a lower basis. My accounting background will allow us to look at, you know, whether or not you need to be in an LLC, tax analysis, even tax planning. I usually like to work with my investors, not only just to sell them a house, but, hey, what's your plan? What do you want to do? How many houses do you want to buy? You know, I kind of have to get to know you a little bit from a financial perspective to make sure I'm putting you in a good position. So those are just some little things along the way as we get to know each other. I'll get to know your overall game plan. So at the end of the day, in closing, we try to provide every service that you need. We have the closing attorneys, we have insurance, we have the property management, we have the rehab teams. It's just going to get handled for you. We have our inspectors, everything along the way that you need to consult with, we're here to provide. So it's still the turnkey model with a little twist, a little fire to the model by the attraction. I think Charlie said we're going to have a waiting list for this, man. It's going to be hot. So we're pretty excited about it. You know, it's something that we worked for. You know, we tested the model on about 25 deals last year, and you know, it's something that I got to start doing, and then I'm like, man, this is the future. It's a lot less stressful on me, and it's a lot happier investor. Happy basis means happy investor. Charlie, if you got anything else you want me to touch on, I'm not sure where we are on time. I'll be glad to field anything else you got.
Yeah, I think let's go to where we've been on for an hour, and I don't know whether this will cut us off at an hour. So let's get the questions. There's some questions already in here. I'm just going to kind of roll through these one at a time. First of all, yes, this was recorded. This was recorded, right? This was recorded. We will get a recording of this out to everybody who registered and didn't register for today's webinar, whether you were on or not on. We'll send you out a copy of the recording. I've been asked to send, can we send paperwork? I'll get with Justin and coordinate what the documents look like, what paperwork looks like to participate in something like this, and I will forward that out to you. Are you approved for third-party administrators? The answer is yes. Justin, I'm sure you've done many of homes acquisitions through a third-party administrator. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yes, that's no problem with IRA, direct IRAs, self-directed.
Okay, and then we do pay fees out. If you want to refer somebody to us, you know, contact me and we can talk about that. Clearly, just for what it's worth, clearly the fees aren't as big in this because the whole idea here is to enter the client into the investment at a low base point. And so, the fees aren't what they could be with some other groups, but this isn't about fees. This is about providing something that allows an investor to get a higher rate of return. Again, Justin's been very transparent here in disclosing the fee that he's getting for this, and it's not a monumental fee. You look at those numbers that he displayed there on the screen, and it sort of probably gives you an idea of what other groups would sell you. And not there's anything wrong with that. We are all in a for-profit world, live in a for-profit world. But this does give you an opportunity to participate in this market at a much lower point of entry. So there are fees. Contact me. We can talk about that. And that's all the questions I have in here. If there's any other questions, go ahead and type them into the queue. I'll hit my mute button. We'll give it a minute. Be glad to answer your questions. Jeff and I are going to leave our phone numbers as well as our email addresses up here on the screen. So if you have questions, feel free to give either one of us a call. We're more than happy to answer your questions. We just rolled this out today. This is the first webinar we've done on the Buy Direct model. We will be doing more of these. We'll probably skip next week because it's 4th of July, but we'll be right back into this the following week. Next, I do have another question here. How do you present a prospective property to the investor? Location and comps, year built, pricing trend, and neighborhood, etc. Justin, that'd be for you.
Sometimes it'll be a listing. It could be just a foreclosure listing. Sometimes it'll be a private sale. If I think I've got a good deal coming from my agent, a lot of times we have information. I'll go out there and photo, 30, 40 pictures of the house. I'll drop it in the Dropbox, share the folder with you so you can view. I like to get you as many pictures so you can see, and then kind of ballpark, we're bidding on this house. I believe that, we're going to be somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 on the renovation. Once we land the deal, then I'm going back with my crews and really getting dialed in. And I'm usually pretty close. If I say it's going to be $10,000, I've had some situations where it's been $11,000, but I'm not missing it by a material amount. Now, if there's a compressor out or something underneath the ground, those are a little harder to, I can see that an air conditioner is missing, but if the air conditioner is there, I can't tell if the compressor's not working because we don't have lights and water and gas. But the point is our basis is so low, we can absorb some unforeseen things. So we're going to hit such a good basis. We have the, the flexibility to absorb a little more renovation. So, I may have probably a little bit of maybe a high projection on my initial stab at the remodel call. So sometimes I beat my calls. But we could be bidding. If we're bidding on a foreclosure, I'm going to set you up with my agent because you're going to be buying direct. You're going to be buying direct with my local agent has bought several hundred houses with me. He happens to be my college roommate. We're from the same hometown in Mississippi. He is very close to me and I think through doing business with me, he's become one of the premier foreclosure agents in Birmingham. So everybody's coming to him knowing that we have the buying power that we have. It allows him to get a lot of information that he needs. So we'll be presenting foreclosures. I'll have private individuals bringing me deals, and I'll be presenting, what we're picking the property up for. And I've had some situations where, they're already rented. They're already got it tenanted. So we just work it that way. That's all the better. So, those are probably 2 out of 10, but, so we are renovation intensive, I think. We do a lot of renovation work. That's one of my passions I really like. But that's going to be the delivery. I'm going to give you kind of here's the purchase, here's the rehab, here's our fee. This is what your basis is going to be. So as long as you're, comfortable with that ballpark, let's go run with this. Let's go run with this offer. And we may have to bid on 2 or 3 houses to land one, but it's a game of numbers. We're going to be being very active. We've set up queries so you get properties. It'll allow you, if you want to be the guy that wants a lower tier property and lower basis, to buy that $8,000 house, we'll go buy it. If you want to buy a $50,000 house, we'll buy a $50,000 house. Typically, our purchase prices are anywhere from about $18,000 to about $35,000. So that's a middle tier area price in Birmingham to get an $800 rent. Like we buy a lower tier property, our rents are going to be $650 to $700. So it's a sliding scale. But this model will allow us to present a lot of different things. So we'll be able to get some feedback from each individual investor to see exactly what they want.
I want to tag on to that, and I want to move on because we do have a couple more questions, and we're getting late. We're having some people log off now, so we want to try to move through this. I want to tag on to that too. The best way really to proceed is for us to get a better idea of what you're looking to accomplish. And then once we have an idea of what you're looking to accomplish and that you're sort of in our system, we can then communicate with you when we find those types of properties that are going to fit what you're trying to accomplish. So dialogue is important. We're leaving our numbers up here. I would encourage you, if you're interested, to call us. We can get the process started so that when Justin has something that fits your set of criteria, that we can deliver it to you. The next question is, do you find 2, 3, and 4 unit properties? I'm assuming you're talking about multi-unit, Alan. Is that what you're referring to there? Multi-family units, duplexes, that kind of thing, fourplexes, quad?
If that's what we need to go look for, we'll start looking for it. That's someone's appetite. That's, we're buying direct, so we can, whatever you want to look for, we'll go see what's in the marketplace. If there's we'll pull up. I'll have my agent pull up every duplex in Birmingham, and we'll see which ones that may be reasonable to buy. There's definitely good cash flow in that. So I've done duplexes and fourplexes. I've done all the way up to probably the largest apartment complex I've done is 16 units. We specialize in single family. I think it's the easiest for an out-of-state investor to operate with, but we do have some fourplex and duplex opportunities.
Is your fees the same on multifamily units?
Probably not. No, we'd have to evaluate that on a case-by-case basis. And then it'd probably get up, if we had to do a $50,000 renovation, we're going to have to address that. Let's just say anything that's, duplex or better, we're probably going to have to evaluate, it wouldn't be that much more cost, but it'd be probably just a little bit of a stipend of some sort. It just depends. We'll just have to evaluate the cost of renovations, and is it going to be a 3-week like normal renovation, or is this thing going to take 60 days on top of a lot of staff?
Okay, that's the end of our questions. Justin, that was a very, very informative webinar. I thank you. We got a lot of good interest today. Again, feel free to contact us. You are on our mailing list, so be on the lookout for more Buy Direct webinars to learn more about this. And of course, you can also contact us too. And there's obviously a few people on this call that already has a level of interest. So if you contact me, I can get a sense of what you're trying to accomplish, pass that information on to Justin, then we'll schedule a call to begin the process working directly with Buy Direct Birmingham. So with that, Justin, thanks so much for being on today.
Thanks, Charlie.
And I want to thank all of you. And again, we look forward to talking to you all in the near future.